What's going on, Pats Nation? This is the CLNS Patriots Postgame Show. I'm your host, Marvin Ezhan. I got my co-host with me, Mike Molyneaux. So you're used to hearing our voices on our podcast, but now you're seeing our faces. We are transitioning from audio to video. So welcome.
It's a good day. It's a good day to talk Patriots as usual. Here for the 2017 season. The Patriots kick things off tonight in their first preseason game where they hosted the Jacksonville Jaguars. Unfortunately, they took the loss 31-24. But we all know in preseason, the coaching staff is just trying to, get a look for what the rookies and the undrafted free agents and, the new acquisitions, how they're fitting into the team, into the schemes and the game plan and whatnot. You can't read too much into one preseason game. But with that being said, we saw a lot of guys who looked very, very impressive in this first game. I know for sure a couple guys stood out to me. What did you take just from this preseason game, or the first one?
Week one, preseason, usually go into it, you're pretty much going to be a boring game. The starters aren't going to play. You're not going to see the Bradys. You're not going to see Cooks, new acquisitions, Stephen Gilmore. But there are some young guys there. And for a preseason game, especially in week one, this game was kind of exciting. The score was close, 31-24. There was a lot of back and forth, some turnovers, a lot of highlights that we saw from individual players that we'll definitely get into. So I was entertained by this week one preseason. Jacksonville got the dub, but with both teams, you saw a couple of guys that really stood out that are going to help their prospective teams.
Absolutely. And just to kick things off right away, one guy who obviously was very, very impressive was the quarterback who got the game started, and that was Jimmy Garoppolo. Obviously we all know what to expect from Jimmy Garoppolo now. He will be the second-string quarterback behind Tom Brady, coming into his third year now. This is a guy who is not only learning from arguably one of the greatest coaches of all time, greatest coaching staff in the last several years, but he's playing behind and learning from the greatest quarterback of all time in Tom Brady. So for him to come out in this first preseason game, you was expecting, great things from him. Obviously, playing in, first real action that he's had this year. It's looked a little rocky, right out the gates, but as the game kept rolling around, got deeper into the first quarter, second quarter, and even the third quarter, Garoppolo finished great with great stats. He looked great, making the right reads, finding the open guys, staying, mobile in the pocket to keep the play alive. Finished the game 22 of 28 for 230 yards with 2 touchdown passes. And, he looked very, very impressive. This is a guy, like I said, he will be playing behind Tom Brady. We all know that. But at the same time, he could be the next guy in line to take over the reins.
He's looking like the future.
He's looking like the future indeed. Obviously, with that being said, nobody wants to see Brady go anywhere as long as he's playing at a high level. But when that time comes, Garoppolo might be that guy, to step up. But, Marv, who stood out to you in this preseason game as well?
There's a receiver that really got my attention in this game, and it goes by Austin Carr. Austin Carr is an undrafted wide receiver. I believe he came out of Northwestern in the Big Ten. He was, receiver of the year in the Big Ten. He had the most receptions, and, every team overlooked him, and that's the perfect guy for the Patriots. We heard a lot about him coming into training camp. Had a rough training camp, but this game against the Jaguars, he showed me something that he was playing in the slot, and Garoppolo's looking for him early. He had 5 receptions, 44 yards, and an incredible touchdown catch where he leaped up in the air. You're going to see it all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
And Austin Carr's looking like a real deal, man. Me and Mike, we were talking. He could be an Edelman Amendola successor in years to come. You remember Edelman was on the team for a couple years before he really got his shine after Welker left. So Austin Carr's looking like someone the Patriots really want to keep around. Good hands, really good hands, quick, athletic ability. I really liked what I saw from Austin Carr. What about you?
Austin Carr looked great. Just like Marv said, this is a guy who maybe, just like how Edelman stuck around the team for a couple years before he really got to step up and really have a prominent role. Austin Carr might be in the same boat who, maybe not this year, maybe not next year, but There will be a time where Edelman, will not be around anymore. Amendola, who knows how long Chris Hogan's going to stick around. Teams like to have organic guys, who come up through the system. And if Austin Carr is making plays like we just saw in this preseason game, and his hands look very reliable, his speed, I like his height, 6'1". That's pretty tall right there.
I mean, it's only one game.
Only one game.
It's only one game.
I'm not going to get too excited.
Yep.
That catch he had will be on ESPN,
yes,
Sports Center and whatnot.
Yes.
But at the same time, like I said, we'll see how the rest of the preseason rolls along. But just off this one game, it was very impressive.
Yeah, we're not saying he's going to be their successor yet. He's going to take, but Edelman's what? He's 30 now.
30.
Amendola's getting up there in age. I believe he's around the 30 range. So they're getting there, guys. So Patriots need to start developing these young guys. You got Malcolm Mitchell.
Yeah.
You got Brandon Cooks, who's young, but
exactly.
We like what we saw from Carr.
And one thing, it's always great if you could go out and sign a big time free agent wide receiver, make a trade, and bring in a nice big time wide receiver. That's always great. But at the same time, if you could draft the guy and develop him in your system,
exactly.
and he develops into something great like we've seen with Edelman, that's always a great option and route to take as well.
Chip on the shoulder, man. We love those guys with chip on the shoulder, undrafted. He's got something to prove. So
exactly,
bring him onto the team.
But with that being said, I want to talk about a guy who's been on the team now and already has probably a solid role.
Okay.
But surprisingly, he came out in a preseason game where, the Bradys, the Gronkowskis, the Cooks, a lot of guys sat. This guy was on the field in the first quarter. And this guy, Dion Lewis.
My God.
We know what Dion Lewis brings to the table. Pats Nation, we know that you know what Dion Lewis brings to the table. But, he was on the field in this preseason game, and he did not disappoint at all. We saw the usual tricks and elusiveness and the quick feet and the good hands. Everything that we're used to seeing from Dion Lewis, we saw in this preseason game tonight. And, who knew how long he was going to stay on the field? Me personally, I'm watching. I'm like, all right, we know what Dion Lewis does.
He's healthy.
Get him off the field. Let these other guys get a chance to do their thing. But with that being said, I'm happy that he was able to come out, perform, play well. Obviously the Patriots lost the game, but he did look impressive. And it's good to know that, he's healthy, legs are good, and, didn't leave this game with any type of injury or anything. And hopefully he stays on the healthy side as the season inches closer.
So does this take away the narrative that anytime Dion Lewis plays, the Patriots win? Because he played today and they got the loss. But it doesn't count because it's a preseason game.
It's a loss. But at the end of the day, it's a preseason game. So
we'll keep it. We'll keep it. Dion Lewis streak continues as long as he plays.
In games that matter, the Patriots are still undefeated.
And speaking on Dion Lewis, you said earlier that this is a guy, who has a solid spot. But, people have been talking in this training camp in this offseason that Dion Lewis could possibly be the odd man out. And so to see him out there, still quick in his feet, he was talking about how, OTAs really helped him being able to go through training camp this year. Last year, we already know what happened, recovering from the torn ACL, and then he had the hamstring issues. So now he's coming in healthy. He says he's stronger, and he proved that today. Really, he was running inside. He was catching the ball. He looked like the old Dion Lewis, and I want him on this roster bad.
Absolutely.
I think
Absolutely.
What he brings, I love James White. We're going to see what Burkhead and those other guys do. But I think Dion Lewis has a different skill set that none of these other running backs have. And to keep him on this team would be essential.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. Like I said, that was a veteran who was on the field in this preseason game. But there were other guys who stood up, young guys who trying to make a name for themselves. And I know you have a guy in mind that also played well right next to Austin Carr on the field. Who's that guy for you?
Another guy like Austin Carr, undrafted free agent, Jacob Hollister. The Patriots really went all out in this offseason, getting, I think it was 18 undrafted free agents. They didn't have many draft picks, as we know, so they really stocked up on the undrafted free agents. They got two twins, I believe, another Cody and Jacob Hollister, but I'm going to speak on Jacob Hollister today. He was another standout in this game. If you watch, tight end, 6'4", 240. He's no Gronk size, but he was very reliable for Brissett and Garoppolo. 7 receptions, 116 yards. He was everywhere on the field, man. Anytime they needed a check down, deep throws, It seemed like Hollister was the guy to grab that ball. And you know you have Gronk, you know you have Dwayne Allen, but both of those tight ends are guys who've had injury problems of their own. So having a guy like Hollister who's young, who knows, man, he's fighting for a roster spot. He looked really, really good in this preseason game. But a lot of tight ends that come into the preseason look really good.
There's a couple of names I can think of over the years.
And they just don't make the roster. Yeah. But Hollister, for the first game, was very solid. And it's a guy we didn't really hear much about during training camp. To see him perform like this was impressive.
I mean, here's the thing when I look at the tight end position. Obviously, Gronkowski's not, old. He's not hitting the tail end of his career. Obviously, he's had his health issues over the years. But Patriots bringing these different tight ends, and you just hope that, somebody can stick around, because like every position, every player in the league, there's going to come a time where like teams, organizations, coaching staff are going to kind of look at, all right, this player's getting older, this player's breaking down. Who can we have maybe ready to step up, in that position? Like we talked about Austin Carr earlier, obviously Edelman and Amendola, those guys on the other side of 30. So, they're not getting any younger. Gronkowski, like you said, is still young, but health, getting a little older over the years. You gotta just be ready. Now, will Hollister stick around and make the team? Who knows? Like I said, there's a couple guys over the last couple of years who've come, looked great during preseason games, and then they're bagging groceries somewhere probably right now. Sheesh. But we'll see. Like you said, one preseason game, Hollister looked really, really good, and we'll see where it goes from there for sure.
But, Mike, we're talking about the standouts and how great, some of these young guys looked, but it wasn't all fantastic. Patriots did come out with a loss, and there was a lot of big plays on their defense that they let up. A guy specifically that it sucks I gotta bring him up. This is Mike's boy. If you've been listening, watching us, Mike talks about this guy a lot, but we have to speak on him. Number 41 now, no longer number 24. Number 41 for the Patriots, Cyrus Jones. You could say had a rough game. He let up a huge touchdown in the second quarter. I believe it was, how many yards it was for? 78.
Plus,
I believe it was like 78 yards touchdown to receiver Cole. He just got burned, beat badly, and with Cyrus Jones, top pick last year, we really want to see a progression from him. We really wanted to see if he could take that third cornerback role with what you have Malcolm Butler, and Stephen Gilmore. Having those two in the third guy with Cyrus Jones, you want to see that. Coming out of Alabama, he had all this hype. He had a rocky year last year. He wasn't really good with the punt return. This wasn't a good start for him. And after the second quarter, I believe in the third quarter, he let up another huge touchdown. Some saying it's not his fault. It was the safety's issue. But him being in that play and not making a play there was not a good look. Cyrus Jones looking like a bum. Let me just get straight to it. He's looking like a bum. He's looking like a bum out there. And it's only game one. Who knows what he's going to do next 3 seasons. But Cyrus Jones right now is looking like a bum.
Look, to come to this guy's defense just a little bit, he's only 23 years old. Still a young guy. He played at Alabama under Nick Saban. Come on.
Okay.
Come on.
All right. He's got a year on his belt with Belichick.
Yeah. But,
Mike,
one preseason game can't determine this man's career.
No, not at all.
I got to stand by him a little bit longer. It was a rough outing tonight. Very rough outing. Those two big plays, you could see it in the defensive coordinator, Matt Patricia's face.
He was
pissed.
Grimacing.
Pissed. I got to stand by this guy just a little bit. I was checking Twitter, during the game, and wow, Twitter was killing and crucifying this guy, Cyrus Jones. It's a rough game, rough outing, but at the same time, I still have a little bit of faith in him. There's a reason why Belichick and the Patriots took this guy early in the second round of last year's draft. I have to have some faith in Cyrus Jones. In my opinion, and I'm hoping and praying that he can develop and he can be that third cornerback behind Gilmore and Butler. That's what I'm hoping for. Obviously, tonight, sounds like I'm standing in a room by myself cheering for this guy. But I'm going to just hope that he continues to try to develop and get better and learn from tonight's mistakes. Because the coaching staff is going to get on him.
Don't get me wrong, Mike. I'm rooting for the guy. I really am. I seen him in Alabama. I knew that he would be a perfect asset, especially with the special teams, and he'll develop as a corner. But it seems like so far he hasn't developed in either. One game, it's our job to bring it up. We brought it up. We'll see what he does, week 2. He's definitely going to get all the opportunities in the world in this preseason.
He'll bounce back.
So we'll see what happens.
He's a Bama guy. He'll bounce back.
I don't know about that, but we'll see what happens. And another thing I was disappointed in this game was our front line on defense. Felt like the running backs really had their way. You had Cole Grant, 8 carries, 120 yards, and a touchdown. Of course, there was a huge run that he had earlier, 79 yards he had run. And I don't know, Landon Roberts looked really good out there before he got hurt. I think it might be a concussion. But the front line, not starters, a lot of young guys there. Wise, a guy who was amazing during training camp, our 4th round pick, he got hurt early. So, but it wasn't promising. The running backs seemed like they did all they wanted. You had Fournette, number 4 pick. He looked good early.
LSU.
Power back. He got his way into the end zone. So, Patriots front line definitely needs some work. Matt Patricia was definitely, tearing up some hairs out there, but
Dante Starnecchia.
I'm talking about the defensive line.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Matt Patricia was definitely, tearing out some hairs, thinking of seeing what was going on in the front. But yeah, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. But all in all, the corners didn't do too bad. Blake Bortles.
You're not going to expect much out of Blake Bortles.
Blake Bortles is not a quarterback that's going to, struck fear into the defense. He didn't do all that well. I believe his numbers was he went, 3 for 5, 16 yards. Didn't play much. It was more Chad Henne. He didn't throw. Chad Henne, man, he's still in the league. He threw a touchdown though. Yeah. On your boy.
Preseason 3rd string.
On your boy. Chad Henne was out there. So, you got to understand that in preseason, there's a lot of backups playing. You're just scouting, seeing how the young guys are going to do and develop.
Yeah, I mean, like we said from the jump, you just want to see which free agents, which new acquisitions, which new, undrafted free agents, guys who are trying to make the team and whatnot, who can stand out and really show the coaching staff, I belong here. I deserve a spot on this team. This is where it's all about preseason. Obviously, to the fans, it doesn't mean much. Who cares? The games don't mean anything at all towards the regular season and the outcome of, come February. But some of these guys may have a future on not only Patriots, but all the other teams across the NFL. That's why the preseason is that important, especially if you're a team that has a top draft pick or something like that. You want to see what they're going to do. But with that being said, just looking at the sidelines, during the game, you're seeing Brady there, antsy with the guys, Edelman joking around, Gronkowski over there. You're just looking at this team, and they are stacked. I mean, this is something that we all know already who've been following the Patriots and everything they've been doing throughout the offseason, especially coming off of last season, the Super Bowl win. This team is stacked, and once the regular season comes around, it's just going to be great to see, the chemistry that you can see on the sidelines between Brady and Edelman and Hogan and Gronkowski. It's going to be great to see that chemistry flourish on the field once they all get going for real. I can't wait. Everybody wants to see how Gilmore's going to do, how Burkhead, how Cooks are going to do. You just trust and believe that Belichick and the coaching staff has just everything's gonna fall right into place when the season starts.
Yeah, and I was telling you earlier, I can't wait to see the connection between Brady and Cooks. Like, this can be something very special coming up this year. That connection. You brought up Randy Moss when I brought up Cooks. That if Brady could do it with Moss, he could do it with Cooks. I don't know what that means totally. You know, Brady has a lot more weapons now.
True.
You have Edelman you can throw it to. You got Gronk. You have the running backs who are all dual threats. So this offense is going to be very, very versatile. And I'm very excited to see that. And speaking of versatility, a guy who showed a lot of versatility this game was Brandon Bolden. It seemed like he was doing it all today. You know, he was running, blocking. You obviously know he's a special teams guy. And it's good to know that Brandon Bolden is always a guy you can rely on. If there's injuries, if things go south, you know you've got Brandon Bolden who you can call. He's like Mr. Reliable on the team.
Been around for a while now.
He's been, yeah, I think this might be his sixth year. Sixth year on the team. He's really solidified himself. He's not going anywhere. If there's a running back getting cut, I can guarantee you won't be Bolden. The way they love this guy, they signed him to another contract, and he's like their special team warrior. Think of him as what Matt Slater is to the receivers. That's what Brandon Bolden is to these running backs, pretty much. Mr. Reliable, out there, doing it all for the pass, whatever Belichick needs.
Yeah, and I mean, speaking of the running back position, I know Bolden had a great game today. One guy, you know, he had a big fumble in today's game. You know, Belichick and his team, they hate fumbles.
Yeah, fumble.
But when he's on his game, one guy who really seems like he can turn into something special, and that's DJ Foster.
I like that guy.
I like that guy a lot. Obviously, the running back position is stacked on this team with Lewis and White and Burkhead and Gillislee. There's a lot of guys there, and there again another season where it just seems like DJ Foster, you know, won't make the cut and make, you know, the 53-man roster. It's unfortunate because when you see him play last preseason, this preseason, you know, it's only been one game, but he seems like he has the tools to really fit into that. What Patriots like to do with their running backs, a guy who can not only, you know, be agile and break a couple tackles, but when need be, catch the ball and make moves down the field. And it seems like DJ Foster is right there next to James White and Dion Lewis.
But is he needed, though? Is he needed? When you have a James White and a Dion Lewis on the same team,
he's not needed. He's not needed, which is, I mean, why? He might end up with the practice team again. You know, it might end up with the practice squad again. That might be the destination for DJ Foster. If either of those guys, James White or Dion Lewis, goes down with injury, you know, DJ Foster, just like, you know, the Patriots done over the years, they put a guy in, plug him in, and watch them flourish. What's his name? Gray from
Jonas Gray.
Jonas Gray.
Where is he now?
Bagging groceries somewhere, you know, pushing some carts inside, whatever.
Sports Illustrated cover.
You never know. Patriots can plug a guy in. So if James White or if a Dion Lewis were to go down with injury, DJ Foster, who's shown similar skill sets to those two guys, can step right in and make some stuff happen.
Another running back that they played a lot was a rookie, LaShawn Daniels. He had 11 carries, 39 yards. He looked good out there too. I was saying that every running back that was out there looked very good. The offensive line really looked like they were pushing strong, and that's a great sign. If you can get a good running game going, they weren't good stopping the run, but on the flip side, they were running the ball very well. Another note that we have to bring up, your boy, Steven Gostkowski, he did miss a field goal. You know, it was 56 yards, though. We got to give him a pass.
That's why we'll let it slide.
We got to give him a pass. It was 56
is no
yards.
cupcake. It's no light work.
But I am concerned. You know, last year, thank God you have Tom Brady in the offense that we had, because you could have lost a couple of games because of Steven Gostkowski's misses in the Super Bowl. Even in the Super Bowl, he missed a point after. Should you bring another guy there to you know shake up a little bit? Gostkowski, that was a question we brought up last year. I'm not saying because he missed a 56 yarder in a preseason we should, but I'm hoping not to see a trend here. I would love to see him go perfect for the rest of the preseason, is what I'm saying. You don't want him to have lack of confidence going into the season.
Here's what I got to say about Steven Gostkowski. Last year was, I don't want to say it was terrible.
It was a bad year.
But it was a bad year.
For his standards.
For his standards.
It was a bad year.
And even what the Patriots are used to, because you go from Adam Vinatieri to Steven Gostkowski, and the way Steven Gostkowski's been performing, last year was an off year. Usually, you see a lot of old kickers. Vinatieri's still in the league. And that guy's pushing like 45 or something like that. A lot of kickers can stick around for a long time. But usually if a kicker's going to stick around for a long time, they're very good. Like, they're not sticking around for no reason. They're probably on a roster, and they're probably still, kicking the ball very well and coming up in big moments. But Gostkowski's 33 years old.
That's not old.
That's not old.
That's not old.
Hear me out. Hear me out. He's not old. But I think a lot of people can agree that last year was shaky for him.
It was a bad year.
It was a bad year.
Are you going to blame it on age, though?
No, I'm not. I'm not saying I'm blaming it on age. Here's what I'm saying. Last year wasn't a good year. He's 33 years old. Let's see what he does this upcoming season.
Okay.
Depending on what he does this upcoming season, next off season, you bring a guy in to push this man.
Okay, I like that.
I'm not saying what I'm hearing out. Like I said, I'm not saying he's old and he's getting.
But he needs a little. He needs a little.
But maybe
motivation.
he just needs a little something over his shoulder. Because right now, Patriots don't have. He's missing these field goals and he's going to sit on the bench. I'll get it next time. It's all right. He doesn't have anybody to worry about. It's not like Gostkowski's playing the first half and then they're bringing out the next kicker in the second half of the game to see what he can do. Gostkowski has nothing to worry about.
But you want your kicker, playing devil's advocate, you want your kicker to have the least stress as possible.
Absolutely.
Not have anything in the back of his head.
But at 33 years old, if you can't deal with a little competition in training camp and preseason because another guy's in there, then maybe you ain't really built. 33, you've been in the league for a long time.
Gostkowski's made some big kicks for us.
He sure has.
He's made some big kicks. Last year, not to make an excuse, it was a bad year, but there was a lot of bad kickers last year.
Bad.
Lost me a couple fantasy games, all right? So there was some bad kickers out there. Let's just say it was that season. It was that season. This year, when we need him, he's going to come through in the clutch. 56 yards is makeable for Gostkowski. It is.
It is.
But he missed it.
Like I said, see what he does this season. And then, depending on how that goes, maybe next offseason, you just bring a guy in. Just to say, hey, if I'm Belichick, we're just taking a look at him.
Just a peek.
Just to see what he is. Obviously, Gostkowski, you're going to be 34 come next offseason.
Gostkowski starts to tie his cleats a little tighter,
He starts to do a couple...
Start pushing up a little bit.
Couple calf raises and stuff, He takes a little more... Just because he has something peeking over his shoulder. That's all I'm saying. But if he comes out this 2017 season and he kicks the ball like we've been used to seeing him over the last several years he's been on the team, let's see what happens.
So, Mike, for some of our viewers, they don't know what we do here on the Patriots Postgame Show. We like to do something called the Stars and Sorries of the Game. But since it's preseason, we're going to make it light. 1 star, 1 sorry. Mm-hmm. But for those who don't know what a star and or a sorry is, can you explain what a sorry of the game is first?
A sorry of the game. If you got on a white shirt, I don't have a white shirt on today, but if you had a white shirt and you may be eating some spaghetti and meatballs.
I love some spaghetti.
And that meatball just slips off the fork and gets on your white shirt, I would look at you and say, sorry. That's an example.
Star?
A star, you the guy. You came out in one game and had a hell of a performance. You put on a show that your teammates would be proud of, your family would be proud of, the fans are proud of you, the whole organization. You come out and you have a great game. If you have a great game and make a huge impact that leads to a possible win, my guy, you are a star of the game.
I like that. So you got so much, I like your confidence right now with the star, man. You really got that momentum. So I'm gonna let you take the star.
Okay,
Who's the star of the game?
I think for this first preseason game, a guy that stood out to me was the guy who I brought up in the beginning of the show. The second, string quarterback behind Tom Brady, who's learning from the GOAT, who's learning from one of the greatest coaches of all time in Belichick. Yeah. I got to give it to Jimmy Garoppolo. He came out, like I said, and had a great game. Completed a lot of his passes. He was moving around in the pocket, making some passes and completions, on the run. He looked good. Obviously, it's preseason. You're going against some second, maybe third string guys. He's been in the league for a couple years now, so it's nothing new to him. He came out a little rocky, but once he got going, he was rolling. So for this preseason game, unfortunately, Garoppolo, you didn't get a win. But while you were in the game, you played great.
He was great.
Garoppolo, you are a star of the game.
Congratulations, Garoppolo. We gotta have like stars or something.
Something pop out. Something pop
out. We'll get some effects or something when we do the stars of the game. But Mike, when there's the good,
there is the bad.
And when it's bad, we tell you, sorry. You might have to cover your ears for this one because you already know who I'm giving the sorry to. You already know. This man last year was our top pick. Coming out of Alabama, coached by Nick Saban. You really had some high hopes for him. Maybe he could, we never knew who's the second cornerback to Malcolm Butler was going to be. Maybe you get this young guy, Cyrus Jones, quick, shifty. He can also punt return, kick return. He had the most fumbles, of last year when it came to kick return. All right, scratch that. This is a New Year's slate. Clean slate. He's coming out saying the right things. Let's put him out there starting in cornerback. What does he do? My man lets out 2, not 1. 2 touchdowns. And not just, dang, he just got beat. There, I'm talking about long drives, 60, 70-yarder touchdowns. Cyrus Jones. It looked bad.
Head was on a swivel.
It wasn't pretty, bro. It wasn't pretty. Listen, I hate to give a Patriots a sorry of the game. Usually during the season, I promise you guys, a sorry will not be a Patriot most of the time. But it's preseason. We saw what we saw. Those 2 touchdowns did not look good. We have hope for you still. Mike has more hope than us, but we still got hope for you. You are not number 24 no more, so the target's not on your back. You're number 41. Go out there. And he did nothing. He didn't even look good with the punt returns either. He didn't show us any signs of anything. He held on to the ball. Thank God he held on to the ball. The fact that you got to say you held on to the ball as a positive. Come on. Cyrus Jones, we're looking forward to seeing you these next 3 weeks. We're looking to see more. You got guys like Jonathan Jones out there. You got Eric Rowe, all fighting for that position. So the fact that you're getting ample time starting, show us something more. But tonight, at the Patriots Postgame Show, we have to give you a big fat old sorry.
That hurt me.
Damn. I was fine with it.
Hey, man. It is what it is. It is what it is.
But next week, Mike, who are the Patriots facing?
The Patriots, next Saturday, will be taking on a team that goes by the name of the Houston Texans.
You are energized.
I can't wait to see that game. You know why? Why? Because the Houston Texans suck. And I know it's only preseason, but I don't expect nothing great. They do have a quarterback, that's Deshaun
Watson. I'm really excited to see that. Texans got a good defense. You bringing back J.J. Watt. I hope they let Deshaun Watson start. I heard it's going to be Tom Savage starting, but we'll see how that goes. I'm looking for Lamar Miller fantasy. I'm trying to see what he's doing, but it's going to be entertaining Saturday night game, and I can't wait. Week 2, we're almost there, guys. We're almost there. September 7th. Woo!
Can't wait. But with all of that being said, with my guy here, Marvin Ezhan, I am Mike Molyneaux. This has been the CLNS New England Patriots Postgame Show. Again, powered by CLNS, the leading online provider of audio and video coverage for all New England professional sports. We will see you guys next Saturday night.
Take care.